Hello everyone, and this is part 2 of session 1, unit 3. Alright, so last session we ended up talking about our vocabulary words and that some of them have to do with feelings while others have to do with describing a physical characteristic of someone. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is if we want to look at our feeling words and we want to tell somebody how we are feeling, we can use this word here, estoy. Estoy means I am, and it kind of looks like some of our other EST words like como estás, how are you feeling? Or como está, how are he or she feeling? So when somebody says como estás to you, you can say estoy, I am, and you can still say muy bien, I am very well. Or you can use one of these words over here on the right. Estoy contenta, I am happy. Estoy cansado, I am tired. You just want to make note that if you're a girl, you want to make sure your adjective ends in an A, and if you're a boy, it ends in an O. So if you're a girl and you want to say I am tired, you would say estoy cansada. Now here, this boy is sad, and the adjective ends in an E. So in this case, we would use the same word for a male and a female. So it doesn't matter who you are, you could say estoy triste. It's not going to change because it doesn't end in O and it doesn't end in A. The same way with consonants. Now we're going to switch back and we're going to look at our characteristic words. And so I just wanted us to look at some sentences in Spanish and see if we can identify these people, but I'm going to help you out here. And here it says Ana is morena, Anna is dark-skinned, and oops, she's wearing glasses. So if we look up here, we want to see if we can see a dark-skinned person. And we see one over here. She really looks more light-skinned. But she does have dark hair, and morena can be dark hair, but she's not wearing glasses. So we are going to X this one out. That's not going to be what we want to use. Okay, so the next one says, Matilda es alta y fuerte y tiene el pelo largo. So it says Matilda is tall and strong and she has long hair. Well, it looks like this one could probably come up here to her. Okay, next we have Rafa has black hair and is dark-skinned. So Ralph has black hair and he is dark-skinned. That looks like this one over here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and stop there for a minute. What I want you to notice is we're using this word S in all of our sentences. And that means is, like he is or she is. And when we're talking about a physical description of somebody, we're going to use the word es. That is different from using está, which would be how is the person feeling. All right, so I just wanted you guys to see the difference in those two things. And then also notice that we're writing our sentences in the same order as English. So Anna is dark-skinned and she is wearing glasses. Matilda is tall and strong. She has long hair. Now here the long hair is not in the right order, but we will talk about that in Wednesday's class. But for the most part, if you're just using adjectives, you're not adding a noun like hair in the sentence, put it in the same order as English. All right, so on this page, I want us to practice writing our adjectives and so they can agree in the sentence. So in Spanish, we've been talking a lot about agreement. So adjectives need to agree in gender and number. So that's the next section on your notes. Okay, so if we're talking about a masculine singular person and we're using the word bajo, which means short, then I would use the same word bajo. Okay. If we switch to talk about a girl, we need to change RO to an A on the end to say baja, because we want our adjectives to make sure that it's reflecting that we're talking about a girl. If we're talking about a group of boys or a group of boys and girls together that are short, we're going to go back to the masculine word and then add an S, bajos, because it ends in a vowel, and then the same thing to make it feminine. It's bajas if we're talking about a group of girls. If we're looking at the word sick, it's going to be exactly the same way. So enfermo, enferma, enfermos, and enfermas. Okay? Now let's look at an adjective that doesn't end in O or A, like triste. That one is going to stay the same for both boy and a girl. And then all you have to do is add an S to make it plural. Tristes. Okay, so a little bit less to memorize there. And then feliz will also stay the same, except when we do the plural, remember that Z is going to change to a C, just for spelling purposes. Okay? And we're adding an ES on the end of this bottom one because it ends in a consonant. So we have feliz and felices. Please feel free to stop the recording if I go a little too fast and you need to write this down. Okay, so looking at some sentences, let's write some sentences in that are description sentences. So the first one says, ¿Cómo es Celia? So let's find Celia. Here she is in the middle of the screen here. We want to write a sentence about her. So let's just make it simple and let's just say that she is white. She has white colored skin. Oops, let me do this one at the top. Everything in the sentence must, you can probably guess the right word, must agree. Okay, so everything agrees in the sentence, and we'll see an example of that here first. Okay, so we're going to write the sentence in the same order as English. So, Celia is, Celia is, and then our word for white is blanco. But because we're talking about a girl, we need to say Blanca. So, Celia es Blanca. Notice how we're talking about a girl, and so our adjective is going to end in A on the end of the word. Okay, let's find Enrique. Enrique is over here. Okay, let's write that Enrique is dark-skinned. Okay, so same order as English. Enrique es moreno. This time it ends in an O because I'm talking about a boy still. Okay, now the next one is Simon and Sarah. Simon and Sarah, this one's a little bit different because we have two people that we're going to talk about together. And so our verb is going to change. We're not going to say is anymore. We're going to say son, which means are. So if we look at Simon and Sarah, we can see that they both have blonde hair. So we can write Simón y Sara son, they are blonde-headed, rubios. Notice on this one that I added an S. Everything agrees. We're talking about two people, Simon and Sarah. We're using the word son, which means are, and then we're making our adjective plural, rubios, which is blonde-headed. Now the last two are a little different because we're not using es or son anymore. We're now saying está. So with está, remember we want to talk about feeling words now. So we're no longer asking about the physical characteristics. So let's find Alicia. She's right here. So she looks pretty happy to me. So let's write that Alicia is happy. So again, the same order as English, except this time we're not going to say es. We're going to say está. I'm not sure why that did that, but let me turn it back. It's probably because I tried to write an accent mark. So está, and then we will say feliz. Okay, and then the last one says, ¿Cómo está Roberto? How is Roberto, or how is he feeling? And he is right here. He also looks happy. Let's see, what else could we say? We could just say that he is doing well. So this will be a vocabulary review. Roberto está muy bien. He is doing very well. Okay, so depending on which verbs you use in Spanish, you're either going to be talking about a physical description of somebody. What is somebody like? You know, what do they look like? Or you ask, how is somebody doing? And here we'll want to put a feeling word. Okay, so you have another worksheet attached to your notes, and this is for you to write on and kind of practice using your adjectives from the vocabulary. So this says all about me, and it says in each circle, write an adjective that describes you. So remember, if you're a girl, you're going to want your adjectives to end in A, and if you're a boy, you're going to want them to end in O. And if they end in E or consonant, then you just leave them alone. So for example, for me, I would write in one of these boxes that I'm a patient person, so I would say paciente. Okay, I'm going to leave it in the E form. In the next box, I might write that I am simpática. I'm going to have that end in A since I'm a girl. and that means